Welcome to this week's edition of the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm your host, John Brennan, with head coach Chad Brubaker. Springford lost to Easton, 49-7. Coach, I was thinking about how do we start here, and I remember a couple years ago, Dan Campbell, coach of the Detroit Lions, talked about they played an awful game. We're just going to go outside and bury the film and never to be thought of again. And I think he actually dug a hole in the practice and they buried the film. And obviously, it's one you're going to bury the film and try not to think about again, right?
Yeah, that was pre-electronic. Was that pre-electronics? Did they
Maybe old school, hey, let's put it on a tape
put a
show.
thumb drive.
Yeah, something. They buried something out back. That's what I know.
No, listen, we had to watch the film, though, on Sunday. And, obviously there's a lot of things that we needed to address on both sides of the ball. And then we moved on. So it's, we had practice yesterday on Labor Day, and we're going to have practice today. We're going to have practice tomorrow. We're going to try to correct those things. If you look at the film defensively, it's like two guys on every play. So you need all 11 guys working together. Mm-hmm. Defensively, that was kind of the issue. 9 guys doing what they're supposed to do, 2 not, and it just so happens that that's where the ball is being run. Offensively, we were ineffective at picking up their stunts. They were quicker than us on defense, on the defensive line, and we just didn't adjust well to it. And it was not a good weekend at the Brubaker homestead.
Well, obviously those that were following Friday night, it got out of hand in a hurry. It was gone. It was over. Because once again, when you're playing a quality opponent and you get down 28 points, you're not coming back from that. Especially when they're also saying hey, we're going to run the ball, we're going to chew the clock up, keep it out of your hands too. So,
one of the big things though is we played good teams in the past. The part that, from our coaching staff's perspective, this was I don't think that the score was indicative of the difference in skills, but it did get out of hand fast. The difference in the past, this is the only game that I can recall where we felt like our kids, I don't want to say gave up because they didn't give up, but didn't fight.
Defeated, they defeated before the final.
And that's something that we have to address. And we talked, there was the seniors called a leadership meeting yesterday. We need to have some guys step up to the plate and be leaders. We, as coaches, also need to feel the pulse of this team a little bit better. But it was 35-0, and we finally put a drive together, and didn't score. If we score, it's 35-7. We're getting the ball in the second half. I'm going to the locker room and saying hey, this is going to be the greatest game in Springford history. We're coming back in this. But when it's 35-0 and it's a running clock at the start of the second half, you're right. Now you're playing for pride. And unfortunately, I don't think that we did that. I know that we didn't do that. So that's something that I haven't experienced before here. And we got to correct it. It was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was all those things. And,
No, I'm not trying to, it's not a salt in the wound type of thing here, but you saw their coach thoughts after the game.
Yeah.
And you talk about how you see things on film, things that we can exploit. And he just said, out loud, I think we're tougher than these guys. We want it more. And we talked about in last week's show how, it was a game they had to have, I'm sure the kids have to see it by now. That has to be something you're boy, and I'm sure other teams are saying, I think we'll just be we're going to be tougher than these guys.
And that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. As the head coach here, we prided ourselves on playing defense and being a very good offensive team over the years. And in 3 of our last 4 games, dating back to last year, 3 of our last 5 games, 4 of our last 5 games, teams have been able to run the ball on us at will. And that is just not, what we've been. Again, we played teams. I'm not saying that we've never lost a game before, obviously, or by a wider margin than, we would like. But those teams were better than us. And this is kind of a new thing. You experience new things as coaches. I'm in my 15th year here and experiencing something new. And we thought coming into the season, we had it figured out as coaches, and clearly we don't yet. But we didn't play well in any facet of the game on Friday night. Our special teams, we dropped 4 kickoffs. Unfortunately, they weren't turnovers, but it set up terrible field position on a couple of them.
Yeah, I saw that quote after the game where you just said, "There's nothing you can come by. We were better than them at." And no offense, this week you're going to get downhill running again. Like, it's coming again. Like, they know what's coming. Like, you're 11 on defense. You know what's coming their way.
You know what Coach Matt is telling his team, and he's said it in the past to his team, and I know that from their quotes after games that we played. They're going to run the ball downhill, and I know what he's saying, that they won't be able to stop us. And we got to find a way to do that. We got to find a way to get that toughness out of our kids. And it's very defeating right now, but as coaches, we have to, like I told the kids, there's a fork in the road right now. Which one are you taking?
Yeah, I think it's going to say a lot about this squad, where this path goes this year. Like, you put your heads down and, go down the one path, or we say, hey, we can right the ship. It's a big week. I think every week's a big week, but it's a big week to see how this team responds to where you guys are at.
And Downingtown East is coming in at 0-2, having played 2 good teams, and
they need a win.
They need a win, and they didn't have a very good offensive performance against Toms River last week, and I know they're going to be motivating their kids, and we've got to do the same. And it's tough right now.
Listen, I came in today, I'm like, gonna be a tough show today. Like,
and like I said after I don't know if you saw that the Touchdown Club were doing like a mini interview after.
I saw,
the game,
and that's you.
And he said you don't have to do it, and I said no. Like, if I'm willing to be here when we win, and then I have to be willing to swallow the pill when we lose, and step up to the plate. And I told the kids the same thing. Like, in our meeting Sunday, guys, I don't have any other way of being. I don't do anything other than try to be authentic and transparent. And if you do something, we're gonna call you out. Like, and your teammates should be doing the same. If you're not playing hard, you should be called out, and your teammates should call you out. And we're gonna sit here. We're gonna have an honest, open film session like we always do. This one's just going to hurt a little bit more. It's going to sting for a lot of you. So,
and you've said plenty of times the film doesn't lie. You see it all there in the film.
It does not. It does not. I mean, you can't hide if you're not chasing down a runner on the backside. The film, we probably won't see that on a Friday night, but we'll see it on film.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Coach. With all that being said, we still have some offensive highlights here we're going to show from the game. So with that being said, let's check out the offensive highlights from Springford Easton.
Offensive highlights are sponsored by JC Auto Service.
Well, early in the game, we didn't really move the ball. This was the first time. This is at the end of the half. We threw a little tight end delay route here to Ryan Kirchner with a wheel behind it, kind of get that outside linebacker to move. He did.
Wide open.
And Kirchner got it down inside the 30. Unfortunately, we didn't finish that drive. That was our most successful drive in the first half. But unfortunately, we didn't finish it. This is actually the first play of the game, and I thought, oh, here we go. We ran inside zone and ran our little snag action out there and got 22 yards, I think, on the first play, and all right, let's go now. And we kind of stalled from there. But, we're figuring out what our kids can and can't do, and obviously we're working on the things that they're not doing a good job of. We're being very prescriptive with that. But there we had a nice play to start the game. This is, in the fourth quarter, this is Braden Hinkle, who had to play running back. Is going to get some time anyway.
Just got extended time.
Yeah, just got extended time because Jamal Lewis was down in this game. He made a couple nice plays. You can tell he's younger in terms of his football experience, but he had a couple nice plays during the game. This is Trent Yoder at the end of the game throwing a touchdown pass on a slant to Ian Patika. Trent came in the fourth quarter and played well for the most part. Had a couple brain cramps, as a young sophomore, but he made a nice throw here, nice read. So that's RPO, as you like to.
RPOs. His choices is what you're saying.
That's
there.
right.
Choices.
This was a pretty big play in the second quarter. The ball was just a little low, and Blake Turner had some room to run. Had that ball been a little higher, he kind of tripped himself up because of the low catch. And again, some of those things, like the ball was there, he just kind of tripped himself as he caught it. That's how the night went.
Yeah,
that was our night.
Yeah, just nothing you're writing home about. And
and that was on 3rd and 19. We got ourselves in a bad spot. Gained 15 yards on that play, but we're still short.
You got a punt away. All right, Coach. Well, we got to talk about it for another 10 more minutes. You got to do Easton for 10 more minutes. All right. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with the defensive highlights from Springford Easton.
Welcome to the Rothman Orthopedics Urgent Care and Walk-In Centers. When dealing with pain or injury, our urgent care and walk-in centers are the ideal place to start your care for all of your orthopedic issues. Our team of physician assistants are available to treat patients 8 years of age and older for a variety of orthopedic issues, including sprains, strains, tears, back pain, fractures, and weekend warrior injuries. No appointment is necessary. Don't wait. Start the path to recovery at the Rothman Orthopedics Walk-In Center or Urgent Care.
Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm your host, John Brown, with head coach Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, before we do defensive highlights, we're going to open up Coach McNally Stadium Friday night for the home opener. You got Downingtown East coming in. We've talked about the past couple weeks. I know I got some emails. Looks like the kids were working on some videos, so we're trying to promote, once again, explain for everybody at home what's going on Friday night here at the stadium.
Just Ms. Bogus, who is the Aevidum club advisor, is doing a contact at Downingtown East, and we're not doing it, she's doing it. But black shirts on our side, gold shirts on their side, which is the Aevidum colors. Aevidum is a mental health advocacy club here at Springford and all over the place. So Downingtown East has a chapter, and so they're just doing that to raise awareness on mental health issues among especially high school students.
And how's the faculty recruiting of?
I don't know. I don't know. They're supposed to have a faculty cheering section. Ms. Bowen has stepped up to the plate to be the cheerleader of that section.
You think maybe all the big wigs of the district would make their way out? They could be a part of the faculty section as well then too, right?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, we just
Did I talk to you about the Easton student section and the Easton band?
No, you didn't tell me. No, go ahead.
So the one thing I will say, and again, hats off to Easton. They played
phenomenal football game,
a nearly flawless game, and we did not. But it was like a rivalry crowd or a playoff crowd.
And you're however far away from Easton High School.
And we have never played them before. The student section, their stadium is beautiful, Cottingham Stadium. But the student section, there was not a seat to be found, and it was a huge, their home side's very big.
Yeah.
The band took up another whole section.
Yeah.
And they played nonstop. They cheered nonstop, and my hat's off to them. We talk about high school football and how special it is. The game aside, because the game is hard to swallow for us, but they did a phenomenal job.
And we talked about last week. You got some competition this Friday night. Usually, don't have this type of competition for viewing of high school football.
Oh,
yeah. So,
who the Eagles?
The Eagles play Friday night too. So people, set the DVRs.
Yeah.
Make sure
that there's a broadcasting 1964 sports broadcasting. I don't know if it's a law, but it's some kind of something.
Yeah, you can't play high school football. You can't play pro football on Friday nights.
Correct.
Yeah, I knew that. Yes, I knew that. Yeah. Should be no. Yes, I knew that. That's a legit thing.
Where's the Supreme Court stepping in?
I think it's I think Brazil may be the only day they allow actual non
Yeah.
Or they allow Americano. No, I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe
I think
that's-
it's Portuguese. I don't know I don't know
Yeah.
how to say it.
Yeah,
Maybe the only day you let football happen down there.
I guess.
I did know that rule. Yes,
Is
it's
it because
surprising
it's-
that people out there. I
So
know
you're
things.
you're suggesting it's because it's off U.S. soil.
Could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be. Yeah. But
Interesting.
I did know that was a thing. You can't compete
Interesting.
with high school football.
And there's more and more college games on Friday nights. I think, does Penn State have one? I know in the past, James Franklin has said we will not play on a Friday night.
Take away from PA football.
Correct. However, I think they have an away game that may be on a Friday night.
We'd have to check the schedule on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Aevidum. Come on out. Buy tickets online on our. I'm sure you can buy that through the Springford Athletic website. The tickets for.
Yep.
All right. So with that being said, I'm sure once again we're not going to have a ton of defensive highlights here, but once again here, is it explain to me as a Joe Schmo, teams want to run the ball. Why can't you, like you said, why can't we just stop it? What's going on that's seems to be an issue that you'd be willing to share on the show?
Yeah, sure. So I would say on the interior of the defensive line, essentially we were too high, and also we were not fighting pressure. And those are the things that we work on starting, not day one, like
Pre-day one.
spring practice.
Yeah.
So those things are hard to like, all right, guys, we've been working on this for how long here? As far as, I would say that the defensive ends, did a pretty good job overall. Linebacker-wise, we just struggled to find our fits. Now, one of the problems was there was somebody, if we play high and they get pushed, that puts, defensive linemen in the linebacker's lap. And that helped, and that's very difficult. Like, you can't get through that. But there were other situations where, we did a good job up front, and then somebody wasn't in his gap. And there were times where we were in his gap. They had two very good running backs. There were times where linebackers were in their gaps, and they just had poor technique, and the kid made a miss.
Okay.
They have 2 6'4" wide receivers. They didn't really hurt us. There was one long play in the first quarter, but for the most part, they didn't really hurt us. They didn't throw very much. But, all those things are correctable. And we've worked on them all.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, was it the crowd? Was it the venue? Was it like the shock of being down 14-0 like that? Whatever it was, we've got to have, guys on the field saying, hey, we're good. We're good. Let's go.
Yeah. And you talk about some days those defensive tackles are space eaters, but you've had small defensive tackles that do the right thing. And, you know what I'm saying? So
it's a really good point that you're making, because it's about technique and fundamentals more so than it is just being 6'8" and 400 pounds.
Right.
That's not it. The 6'8", 400-pound guy, if he stands up, guess what? We could probably move him.
Yeah.
If he's straight up. So, it's about doing the things you're taught, and it's about us reinforcing the things that we're taught and making sure that the things that we're teaching are being done.
It's funny the way because I remember Ben DiArcangelo, he used to play defensive tackle for you. He was 160 pounds or whatever. You know
Luke
what I mean?
Pajovich.
Yeah, you got guys that are just undersized, but they know what to do and where to be. And
Billy
it's not always
Billy Frazier. I could name you a bunch of guys that were under 190 pounds that played tremendous nose for us because they DJ Francis was not a big dude. Those guys learned what they needed to do, and they did it consistently, play in, play out, and they kept the offensive line off the linebackers.
And you hear you talk about the best defensive tackles. Now, once again, you get a guy who's a Luke Donald, whatever. But sometimes the defense are just taking up space, so other guys make plays for you then too. So, which once again might be tough to sell to a 16, 17-year-old. You know what I mean?
Well,
but that's what they have to learn.
You're not going to make plays doing it your way.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point is on Friday night, our defensive line, if you look in the stat sheet, did not have a good game statistically. You're not going to make plays if you don't do it the way you're taught to do it.
All right,
you're
good.
just not.
Good stuff. Good little segment there.
Yeah.
Good little trip down memory lane there.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, take a look at the defensive highlights from Springford Easton.
Defensive highlights are sponsored by JC's Catering.
So here's a situation where we actually did what we were supposed to do.
Force the guy back inside.
Fought pressure across there, filled gaps, and made the kid bounce. So here he wants to go somewhere. Nope, he's got to bounce back inside, and we run it down. That's a good job. That's how it should be done. Same thing here. I think this is Braden Welsh shooting a gap. Or no, that's Giassi Ramu. Giassi Ramu beating his guy inside. He gets held. It's not called. That happened a lot too, by the way, and makes a play. And here we jam up the middle. Again, this is when we do it right. We're fighting pressure. We're fighting across blocks and make plays. But we just did not do it consistently enough. See Bryce Roberts there? They try to trap him. He fights across and makes a play. This is just a run through. This is the Welsh play, I believe. Braden knifes through on a blitz and runs the guy down from behind and gets him by his ankles. But you see here, Giassi Ramu is fighting outside too, doing a nice job, fighting pressure. So it's not that we're incapable of doing it. That's Jacob McDowell. Jacob McDowell, our Mike linebacker, beats the block coming in front of him and knifes through for a nice, I don't know if it was a tackle for loss, but at least at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So like, those aren't soft plays. Those aren't, our guys are not soft. Like, they have it in them.
Yeah.
And it just needs to be more consistent. If it's not, it can't be on just first and second down. It's got to be on third down, sometimes fourth down. It's got to be consistent across the board. And you got to get other teams into, where they're not comfortable. And we just did not do that consistently.
Right, you talked about Easton putting you in a 3rd and 19. That's an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. It doesn't matter who your wide receivers are.
If Downingtown East gets the 3rd and 2s all night long, they're going to love it. That's situations where they can feast it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Coach. Well, we want to hear more about them. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to preview the game with Downingtown East.
The word Aevidum, which means I've got your back, was created by students after a classmate died by suicide at Caligo High School in Pennsylvania. Aevidum inspires schools and communities to adopt cultures of care and advocacy, encouraging all members to have their friends' backs and to know you matter.
Suicide is a major public health challenge, with more than 700,000 deaths each year globally. Each suicide has far-reaching social and emotional consequences and deeply affects individuals and communities. Please remember, you matter.
It takes a community to care. We can all make a difference in someone's life by learning how to support them. Together, we can create a stronger, more compassionate community. Because you matter.
We can make a difference by listening, sharing resources, and offering support. We can help those struggling with mental health issues and suicidal thoughts. You matter.
You could be the one to save a life by reaching out to someone who may be struggling. A simple act of kindness can make a world of difference. You matter.
Strong communities foster strong mental health. We can work together to create supportive environments for our children, adolescents, and adults. You matter.
Suicide can affect anyone, regardless of background. We must break down barriers and provide support for all. Let's work together to create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. You matter.
World Suicide Prevention Day is September 10th. It's a time to remember those affected by suicide, to raise awareness, and to focus efforts on directing treatment to those who need it most.
You matter. I hope you know you matter.
Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm your host, John Brennan, with head coach Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach here, District 1. This is the start of the Pac-Chesmont crossover games right here. So you're going to get both Downingtowns for the next 2 weeks. So Downingtown East, you said, come in 0-2, but they are a district powerhouse. I think wasn't it all Downingtown final last year? Was it an East versus West final or?
No.
Okay.
They lost in the semis.
Okay, but they're semifinalists from last year's team. We've played Downingtown East in the past, and we talked about a little bit beforehand. They're going to come in here and they're going to power eye you, and they're going to run the ball downhill, that sort of thing.
Well, they don't run power eye, but they're in.
All right, sorry, I'm just using my old school references for you.
They're in I formation most of the time, but not always. They want to run downhill. They want to run power. They want to run buck sweep. They want to run ISO. All right, and then they play action off of it. That's what they want to do. They played North Penn, and they played a team from New Jersey, Toms River, that I think was last year's state champion, one of the state champions in New Jersey. So it's not like
they're battle tested.
Yeah. So they're 0-2. They easily could have beaten North Penn.
Yeah, they were up, I think, late in the game against North Penn. Yeah,
they were up late. So obviously they're trying to get their first win. We've struggled in the past against them. I think they were the better team in those playoff games when we played them. The last time we played them was in 2021 down there. The score was 21-14. We ended the game on the 6-yard line going in to win or tie.
Yeah, I remember this one now. Yeah,
we would have gone for 2.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember the game now. Yeah,
we would have gone for 2.
You were down like 21-0 too, right? Remember?
Yeah, we were down 21-0 far away back. By the way, we were down 21-0. Did we quit? No. We came back and we outplayed them in the second half. I think they would agree with that. They outplayed us in the first half, but we outplayed them in the second half, came back, got a big block punt near the end of the game. And unfortunately, it went out of bounds. If it doesn't go out of bounds, it's tied right there.
Yeah.
But we ended the game on the 6-yard line. Couldn't quite score with time running out, and ended the game 21-14. But we played them. We know them. They know us, and so it's not like it's just something new.
Yep.
They know what we do. We know what they do. We know what they're trying to do. And unfortunately, right now, to this point, it's not been our strength.
All right. Well, let's take a look at Downingtown East on offense.
Upcoming game highlights are sponsored by Tom's Car Wash.
All right. So this is Downingtown East against Toms River. And there they are, downhill, right?
Yep.
Downhill. Just trying to run power. Here they run a little buck sweep action with guards pulling.
Get to the outside.
Yep.
And their real goal is positive yardage every play. There's nothing that they want that needs to be negative.
And by the way, this is the next play. If a play works, they're going to run it again.
They'll go right back.
It was the exact same play. Here they are. Again, this is, I didn't catch the beginning of the play, but ISO, and they're just trying to push the pile. And they do push the pile, by the way. And again, this is just 2 backs. Here's where they can get you on play action. Now the kid from Toms River makes a nice tackle there, and they hold him to about 6. But they'll lull you to sleep, and all of a sudden go play action, and you're
right. All of a sudden you put 8 guys
run.
Up there around the line, and they can they'll take their chances if they're presented to them.
Yep.
All right. What are you guys seeing from defensively?
Well, interestingly enough, they've been a 3-4 team for a long time. Last week they played some even front as the game progressed. So we're gonna have to prepare for both. But I think we counted 17 different stunts and blitzes in 40 offensive plays. So
they're exotic in what they're going to do and show you.
They show you a ton of different things. They come from all different angles. They come up, they back out, bring somebody else. They zone blitz. They do a lot of different things.
A lot on your line and quarterback to identify what you really want to be in out there, too.
Yeah, and again, the 2 things that were our Achilles heel on Friday are the 2 things that they do best and want to do. So, this is a huge week for us.
All right. Well, let's take a look at Downingtown East on defense.
Upcoming game highlights are sponsored by Tom's Car Wash.
All right, so you got an empty package here from Toms River.
And there's that linebacker showing blitz, but then backs out in the coverage.
Yep, and they get a sack.
Now they have him backed up here. Instant pressure.
Always have been a very good run defense first team. Very good with that. So again, you got 5 guys up on the line of scrimmage. You got the linebacker coming over the top. And
that's where you say, right, look at the effort. Like, they got great
guys.
Effort. Yeah.
Again, both outside linebackers up on the ball. All right, they create issues, and they just plug the hole. This was a little earlier in the game. They tried to run a little outside zone, and again, they ran it down. So they do a lot of nice things. defensively, trying to give you different looks and bait you into committing to a block and then bringing somebody else free.
And the guy's looking around,
Yep.
where do I go?
Yep.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for persevering through the show. All right.
Yeah, this was one of the tougher ones, John.
Yeah.
It's
Well, like,
good that you're the.
Our text conversation made it tell that we were, we just had to get this one over and done with in the box.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, best of luck to you in the Crew Friday night.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you tune in next week as we recap the game with Downingtown East and preview the game with Downingtown West. For that coach, Chad Brubaker, I'm John Brennan. See you next time on the Gridiron.